welcome to a night I refuse to let be depressing. If it starts to get depressing, I'm switching to another book halfway through. Let's see where we were now. The crow flew down to where the father and son lay on the ice, and there he saw the coin that the frog had dropped. He flipped it up with one foot, caught it in his beak, removed it with a flourish, and held it out at leg's length to look at it. The coin had been gold-plated when Frog had found it at the bottom of the pond, but now it was worn down to the original brass. "You will succeed," said the lettering covering around the rim, and in the center was a fleur-leaf clover. "Oh, it must be in my back pocket." Ah. Ha-ha. Now, "Well, you've got nothing to worry about," said Crow to the mouse and his child. "You will succeed. Says so right here." "When?" asked the child. Crow looked at the other side of the coin, in which a horseshoe appeared. In the parcel message, "Your lucky day is," the rest had been obliterated by the hole drilled for the string. "When your lucky day arrives," he said, and hung the coin from the mouse child's neck where it clinked against the drum. Then he picked up the father and son and flew back to the pines to land beside a rather showy lady crow, beside a rather showy lady crow, and 3 pretty starlings. The other members of the company were gaunt and dejected-looking rabbit, and a brilliantly colored frowsy parrot who wore 2 or 3 sleeveless doll sweaters and a woolen muffler. It was she whose scratchy voice they had heard earlier. Long ago she had been somebody's pet Polly, but having since spread her wings and flown to freedom through an open window, she felt herself entitled to the little more resounding name, and now was called Euterpe. Miss Crow, who had been stranded more than once herself, was cordial in her welcome. "After all," she said, "they don't eat. They might as well join us as company and make themselves useful if they can." She leaned down to look more closely at the child. "What do you do when you're wound up?" she asked. "Do you play that drum?" "No," said the child, "we used to dance." But now we walk," said the father, "and behind us an enemy walks faster." "That's life," said Euterpe. "We're looking for a seal," said the mouse child. "And a rat is looking for us," said the father. 2 toy mice in search of a seal, and followed by a rat. "That's too much," said the starlings, flapping together, fluttering up and flapping their wings as they laughed. Crow and Mrs. Crow laughed also, while the parrot looked thoughtful. "She used to have a red and yellow ball on her nose," said the child. "We're looking for an elephant, too. We're going to have a family." "Fantastic!" said the starlings. "It's got possibilities," said Crow. He wound up the father and stepped back. "All right," he said. "Let's see what you can do." The mouse and his child walked along the snow until they bumped into a twig and fell down. They lay there, father's legs moving slowly back and forth, while the company watched in silence. The sky was bright and cold. The white snow sparkled in the sunlight, a woodpecker drummed beyond a frozen stream, and the wind sighed through the pines. "Can you help us?" asked the father. "We must keep moving. We cannot stop here." "Pathos," said Crow. "Real pathos." "They definitely got something," said Mrs. Crow, as she helped up the mouse and the child to their feet. "The patter about the seal and elephant needs working up, but the walk is good and their fall is terrific. Maybe we can use them next time we do a review." Crow draped a black wing over the shoulders of the father and son. Welcome to the Cause of Art Experimental Theatre Group," he said. "Last year it was Cause of Art Classical Repertory Group," said Miss Crow. "You gotta move with the time," said Crow. "But we don't want to be in the Cause of Art Experimental Theatre," said the child. "We've got to find the seal. We were told she was with you. She had a platform on her nose." "Who?" said Crow. "What platform?" "The seal," said the child. "Have you seen a tin seal with a platform on her nose?" "That seal," said Crow. "A wind-up seal. Now I remember. She made a whirling gesture with one wing. She did an acrobatic routine with a sparrow." "That's right," said the child. "Sure," said the Crow. "That was back when we did the Cause of Art Follies, our best season, as I remember. We had a line of red-hot chickadees in the show everybody was crazy about." He shook his head, opened his beak, and shut it with a clack. "Where did you find her?" asked the child. "We got her from Manny Rat," said the Crow. "He books most of our wind-ups. Do you know him?" "Is it Manny Rat who is following us now to destroy us?" said the father. "Oh, it can't be so bad as all that," said Crow. "Why in the world would he destroy wind-ups? He fixes them up and sells them. And he's not the rat to destroy his own profits. We paid 3 bags of jelly beans for that seal, for instance, which is a pretty stiff price for a broken-down wind-up. I mean, you know, business is business, even if it's show business. They were new jelly beans, too. Out of the case, it fell off the back of a truck." "Where is she now?" said the child. Crow shrugged. "Who knows? On tour somewhere, I guess. I traded her to a rabbit with a traveling flea circus." "For what?" said the child. "For a pair of doll roller skates and a part of a gyroscope," said Crow. "Let's go, everybody. I want to run through Dog again from the top." Dog being whatever the show is. "Won't you help us?" begged the father. "Look," said Crow. Give yourself a chance to calm down a little and we'll talk about it later. Believe me, you're safe here. Nobody's gonna bother you while you're with me. He struck a boxing pose, grimaced fiercely, and launched into a slow-motion roundhouse blow. Gently mugged the father's jaw with one wing, and then he winked at him and turned to the company. Alright, he said, let's get started. Are you absolutely sure you want to do The Last Visible Dog tonight? Said Miss Crow. I am sure, said Crow. It's the hottest thing we've got. It's new, it's far out, it's a play with a message. What's the message? Said Mrs. Crow. I don't know, said Crow, but I know it's there, and that's what counts. It seems to me the woodchuck's revenge is better bet, said Etrepre, who was, if not the company's lyric muse, at any rate their repertory, since it was she who stored in her memory all the plays presented by them. You can't go wrong with a plot like the woodchuck, she asserted. The whole family loses its territory when the fox forecloses the mortgage and throws them out of their den. Forecloses the mortgage? Territory again, said the father to his child. Must I always be reminded of our placelessness? If we could find the dollhouse, we could be our territory, said the child. Couldn't it, Papa? He felt the weight of the corn on the string around his neck. Maybe we'll succeed, he said. Maybe we'll have a lucky day. Etrepre, meanwhile, was still putting forward the merits of the woodchuck's revenge. Banker Foxcraft, she declaimed, more deadly in his treachery than a trapper who with a sharp-toothed steel besets the wooden path. What new pitfall has he perfidy prepared for us? That's always been surefire, she said. Look, Etrepre, said Crow. As director of the cause of art, I intend to further the cause of art. We'll go dog tonight at the bottom. Act 1, Scene 1. Let's go. To the bottom of the pond squawked Etrepre. Mud, ooze, rubbish, and water plants. 2 tin cans standing upright, half buried in the mud at center stage. At stage left, a rock. A head rises from one of the tin cans. It is the head of Furza. The head of Furza. The head of Wurza rises from the other tin can. Gretch enters stage right and crosses the rock. Same place, said the rabbit. Who is Gretch? I don't got any lines until the third act. All I do is stand on the rock. Crow silenced the rabbit with a look and turned to Mrs. Crow. All right, he said. Furza speaks first. That's you. What's the latest? Said Mrs. Crow, as Furza. Latest what? Replied Crow, as Wurza. Ooze news, said Furza. Dogs, said Wurza. A manyness of dogs. A moreness of dogs. Too muchness of dogs. Also a jiggling and wiggling. A jiggling and wiggling of what? Of nothing. Where? Oh, where was it, for goodness sakes? Out among the dots. After which Crow stepped out from his role and said, You feel it building? No, said Miss Crow, I'll be honest with you. I don't feel it building. Never mind, said Crow. Let's just let it happen. Your line. Where among the dots? Said Mrs. Crow. Out among the dots beyond? Yes, go on. Beyond the... Don't stop now. Beyond the last visible dog. Shouted Crow. There, he said to his wife. See what pays off? Up and up and up and zonk. Beyond the last visible dog. It's getting to me now, said Miss Crow. What does it mean? Crow flung out his wide, broad wings like a black cloak. What doesn't it mean, he said. There's no end to it. It just goes on and on until it means anything and everything. Depending on who you are and what is your last visible dog. Beyond the last visible dog, said the mouse child to his father. Where is that, I wonder? I don't know, said the father, but those words touched something in me. Something half remembered, half forgotten. It just escapes me, but seems almost clear. Do you think that's where the rabbit and the flea circus are? Said the child. Shall we find the seal and elephant in the dollhouse among the dots? We can't find anything unless we continue to move ahead, said the father, and I don't suppose there's any chance until after this performance. Alright, Christy. We'll continue this tomorrow. I'm glad it's such a happy story tonight. Sleep well, keep game, found love, carry on, and I'll talk to you very soon. I love you, Christy. Abends.